What did the Subway employee who thought filming himself wiping sandwiches on a toilet seat was going to make him famous, and the American teacher who started a classroom fight club for her middle school students to settle disputes have in common? Both were stupid enough to post these videos online and lost their jobs from it. And they are far from the only ones. In today's episode of the Infographics Show, we're looking at the dumb YouTube videos that got people fired. Number 20. In 2018, a young man walked into Starbucks in Philadelphia and ordered an iced coffee, and as per usual, the employee asked him his name, which was Sam. The thing is, Sam had a stutter, so it came out more like Sam. After having a good laugh at the guy's expense, the barista wrote down his name with the extra S's. And just like every other interaction today, someone filmed it all and uploaded it. Starbucks apologized and fired the barista, and as an act of corporate kindness, the company offered to give Sam a $5 gift voucher, just 95 cents short of the price of a cappuccino. Way to go the extra mile, Starbucks. We got quite a few crimes lined up for you today, but let's start with this. One of the stupidest things we've heard in quite some time. Number 19. In 2016, two paramedics working in Florida's Okaloosa County were found to have been in a selfie war with each other. That sounds pretty harmless, but not when they started putting unconscious people in their selfie photos and videos. The paramedics, a 24-year-old woman and a 33-year-old man, did all of this in the backs of their ambulances. They'd switch on the camera and act around with the people who were sometimes injured and even dying. 41 patients starred in the selfies, aged anywhere between 24 and 86, which did not impress those people's family members when the truth finally came out. Of course, they were both fired. Let's lighten things up for this next one. Number 18. In 2009, 5 YouTube videos might have put you off of ordering Domino's pizza for life. The clips consisted of a man doing things like sticking cheese up his nose and wiping salami around his butt. The man, along with his female colleague, who was the camera person and the creative director, went viral and ended up being watched by millions of people. Then, internet sleuths got on the case and figured out the location of the restaurant was in Conover, North Carolina. As Domino's scrambled to rescue its impeccable reputation, the two employees were fired. He got 6 months in jail and she got a 45-day suspended sentence and 200 hours of community service. The man later said the videos were posted without his consent, which didn't help Domino's at all because people were now wondering what happens to the pizzas when someone doesn't make a viral video. All in all, they deserve to be fired, but we think these next victims of a viral video were treated a little too harshly. Number 17. We found a few incidents of American nurses making videos at work and then posting them on social media. But our favorite is the one from New Orleans when 7 nurses put on what we think was a stunning dance performance to rapper NLE Choppa's hit song, Slut Me Out. YouTube would not like it if we repeated the words in the song, so let's just say you would serenade your grandma with it. The dance routine included various acts, including one nurse spreading her legs in a wheelchair and another using hospital equipment to mimic her giving oral sex. There was a lot of twerking and what the media called obscene gestures, although uniforms remained on at all times and no patients appeared throughout the entire performance. We'll feature more nurses later in the video, but this next one will involve patients. Number 16. Imagine being fired for saving someone's life. That's exactly what happened to Lifeguard Tommy Lopez, who was videoed rescuing a drowning man. Tommy was working at Hallandale Beach in Florida in 2012 when he saw a swimmer in distress. He quickly did his best Baywatch and ran into the ocean, helping the drowning swimmer, who was later taken away in an ambulance. Tommy literally saved this guy's life. He was fired because the company he worked for said he moved out of his section of the beach. They eventually offered him his job back, but he turned it down. On top of that, they later gave this guy the key to the city. Now for one of a handful of incidents involving a wayward teacher. Number 15. In today's classrooms, cell phones are just as useful as pens, and that means a lot of teachers are losing their jobs, sometimes fairly and sometimes unfairly. A female teacher was fired because her Facebook page showed her holding a severed child's head. Just kidding, she was holding a bottle of beer, enough to get her fired. Another U.S. teacher was made unemployed after saying on social media that her 10th grade students were rude, disengaged, lazy whiners. Come on, when aren't 10th grade students like that? And in 2024, a teacher in Detroit was fired because she refused to take down videos of her rapping. One of the parents at the school didn't think that her raps were appropriate. We've seen her videos, and let's just say they're not exactly in the same league as Slut Me Out. But sometimes the victims of a firing have kind of asked for it, such as this next person. Number 14. Have you ever received a package and inside that thing that you bought is just smashed to pieces? Sure you have, and it might be because of a delivery driver who's having a bad day, such as the FedEx guy in 2021 who was launching parcels onto porches like they were javelins. The owner of the house invested in a smart doorbell and caught the driver in the act. The house owner wrote next to the video he posted online, "Every package I've received since I've moved into my new home has been dented or broken. I bought a camera. Now I know why." The video got over 500,000 views, and the delivery guy has since been told that his parcel throwing days are over. Maybe he should try out for the Olympics instead. Number 13. There are a lot of videos out there that show people driving public transport who probably should not be driving public transport, such as the New York bus driver in 2018 who was videoed watching clips on YouTube as he sped down the street, intermittently looking up to check that he, wasn't about to kill all his passengers. When your passengers think it's safer to ride in a New York subway car rather than on the bus, you know you're doing a bad job. Let's now look at something quite disturbing. Number 12. In 2016, a nursing assistant in Kenosha, Wisconsin was fired after it was revealed she'd been uploading very private videos from the place where she worked. One of the videos featured a 93-year-old Alzheimer's patient in a state of undress. Another showed the nurse helping an elderly patient empty his bowels. The 21-year-old assistant was later called immoral for what the court commissioner said was one of the most disgusting cases I've heard in a long time. We found a lot of videos online of people doing very bad things in nursing homes, but let's now return to something a little more humorous. Number 11. It happened in a Subway outlet in 2021, and it involved what the media called a Subway sandwich artist. Yeah, artist, that's what Subway calls a low-paid worker who throws bits of vegetables and meat onto a sloppy bun. Anyway, this artist filmed himself arranging food on one of the restaurant's toilet seats while trashing his job and saying bad things about Subway. He also walked over various food items that he placed on the floor. He was obviously stressed out by his art, but as far as we know, he didn't go as far as cutting off his ear. It turned out that this 21-year-old man had worked all over the place and had posted videos to various social media platforms, not all of them with him doing nasty things to the food. When asked why he did it, he channeled his inner creativity and he said he was struggling to find a purpose in life. Well, at least he has internet fame to fall back on, as does this next man. Number 10. This story is about a snowplow driver in Massachusetts who calls himself Dog, with 2 G's. He was fired in 2013 by the city of Lowell after taking videos of himself driving down the street in his plow. That doesn't sound so bad. Well, Dog with 2 G's wasn't just clearing the roads, he was burying vehicles and blocking driveways with an avalanche of snow. And he enjoyed every single moment. He tried to plead his innocence, saying he was just doing his job. The residents of Lowell were not impressed, and neither were the city chiefs, and Dog was sacked. But that didn't stop Dog with 2 G's from uploading one more video, an apology. Let's move away from the USA for this next one. Number 9. In 2013, a bunch of hardworking miners in Australia lightened up their day by performing an underground version of the Harlem Shake. We think they did a pretty good job, but their bosses at the mine in Western Australia were not impressed and made 15 men unemployed in what might have been the biggest mass firing in viral video history. It seems a bit cruel to fire men for merely dancing. A spokesperson for the mine explained why, telling the media, "Underground mining has strict safety standards as there are accidents and fatalities." Come on, give the guys a break. They didn't even take off their safety helmets. Maybe this next guy also deserved a bit of a break. Number 8. In 2015, a former chief financial officer at a medical device company in Arizona was on food stamps because of a video he posted of himself back in 2012. Adam Smith filmed himself criticizing ChickfilA at a drive-thru where he ordered a glass of free water and subsequently exploded into a tirade about how much he despised the company, unleashing on the drive-thru server. It wasn't the food that Smith was angry at. He was addressing accusations from staff about homophobia that appeared in the news. Sure, he shouldn't have taken it out on a low-paid worker, but it seems he certainly paid back his debt to society. Smith was unhireable. He went from earning $200,000 a year and having over $1 million in stock options to claiming Social Security benefits. Every interview he went to, someone would realize, oh, that's the ChickfilA guy. We imagine this next person will also find it difficult to get another job. Number 7. In 2024, a teacher in the Rayton School District of Kansas City lost her job just 12 hours after a video showed her performing a WWE-style smackdown on one of her students. She apparently hit the student, got her in a chokehold, and slammed her to the floor. Another student said the battle royale started after a bunch of girls refused to leave the bathroom, and the victim hit the teacher's phone out of her hands. The school later released a standard statement saying MMA-style disciplining of students was not in alignment with our values and practice. Now let's go way back in time to the olden days of MySpace. Number 6. We've already seen how you can get sacked from McDonald's, but what about Burger King? In 2008, Timothy Tackett, also known as Mr. Unstable, had a long day at work. There is no better way to relax than a warm bubble bath. The only problem was that Timmy did it in one of the sinks at the restaurant. Tackett pleaded his case, saying he scrubbed the sink before getting in, but Burger King wasn't happy. That kind of behavior belongs at the Golden Arches, and Timothy was sacked along with the duty manager. As for this next one, well, worse things have happened. Number 5. Paris is known as the City of Love, but not in Disney's eyes. In 2022, a man was down on one knee outside Sleeping Beauty's castle at Disneyland Paris and was about to propose to his girlfriend. Everything was going to plan until a Disney employee wearing Mickey Mouse ears ran in between the couple, snatched the ring, and ordered them to move away. This was obviously your Employee of the Year kind of guy, but the whole thing was videoed, and soon the job's worth was at the sharp end of that thing we've come to love called public outrage. The video of this romance wrecker went viral, and the heartbroken couple were offered a free vacation, which they refused. Disney said the employee had been dealt with, which sounds terrifying. We don't know if Mickey and the boys took care of him or if he was just sacked, but either way, his mouse ears wearing days were over. Number 4. Then there was a mass firing of a bunch of lifeguards at a city swimming pool in El Monte, California. They filmed themselves doing the Gangam Style dance, back when that kind of thing could make you internet famous. Of course, anyone who actually likes that song should never be allowed to work in public again, and that is exactly what the pool bosses said, relieving those men of their jobs. Well, they might not have said it like we did, but the guys still got fired. In total, 14 of them lost their jobs. The pool bosses described the hip thrusting and gyrating as inappropriate and disgusting. Hey, we don't like the song, but disgusting is taking things a bit far. But after a public outcry, they were invited back to work. They refused the offer, and now 2.4 million people have suffered psychological abuse after watching that video on YouTube. Okay, top 3, and the next one is one of the funniest stories we have for you today. Number 3. This entry takes place in a Walmart store in Canada's Alberta province in 2018. The star of the story was not fired. He was about to quit, but we can guarantee his days with Walmart were numbered. He decided to speak his mind through the intercom to a store full of shoppers. The 17-year-old began his rant with, "Attention all shoppers, associates, and management. I would like to say to all of you today that nobody should work here." That was a great opening, which he followed with, "I'm sick of all the bogus write-ups and my job." After calling out his assistant manager, he left the store a hero, and he never looked back, later posting the video on Facebook with the title, "How I Quit My Job Today." Now for some more naughty nurses. Number 2. In 2017, a patient was lying unconscious in an operating room at the Clínica Santa Cruz Hospital in Colombia. As you would expect, the atmosphere is one of profound seriousness. No, not at all. It's like a carnival in there. One of the nurses whips out her phone, and we see 5 of her colleagues dancing around the unconscious naked body of a man who's been prepped for an operation. Music plays, the nurses laugh and twerk. The only thing that's missing is balloons. You would think the hospital would be proud to have such happy workers. But no, they fired all 5 women, stating they were all good workers but must accept the consequences for breaking surgery protocol. Right, so what about this teacher who ran a fight club? Number 1. Call us old-fashioned, but we think the first rule of Fight Club should be, don't do it with 12-year-olds. A female teacher at the Mesquite Middle School in Texas obviously didn't agree. In 2023, she was said to have encouraged her students to settle disputes the old way. But it's not as brutal as it sounds. Before each scrap, she outlined what was acceptable and unacceptable. After all, her students weren't animals. As the boys and girls, some evidently better at fighting than others, fought it out with the desks pushed back, the teacher watched on, telling her students there was a 30-second fight limit. The media said some of the fights ended with students having to clean the blood from their faces. You would think this was a one-off, but another teacher in a Florida middle school also ran a fight club in her classes. This teacher also had a 30-second limit, with the added rules of no hair pulling, no screaming, no yelling, and no phones. There were phones, and that's how she got caught. Now you need to watch this X-rated hit, Most Evil Kids in the History of Mankind, or have a look at Kids Who Remember Their Past Lives.